I am the manager of the Senior Peer Prevention Program under the umbrella of West Yavapai Guidance Clinic. We are strictly a prevention piece, and the Senior Peer Prevention Program is all about how do we take care of older adults in our community. The program relies totally on the volunteer people. So we go out, we find volunteers in the community, and we train them. We also background check them to make sure that they don't have anything in their background that would cause issues if they went into somebody's home. And then we ask them to go out and work with lonely and isolated seniors in their homes.
I worked at a large church in Chicago, and I was head of human concerns, and I dealt a lot with food pantries and clothing. And I've always worked around people. It's a passion of mine. So coming into this was an easy transition. I think that's probably one thing about the senior peer. With everybody I've met there, there's this deep caring for other people.
Aging in and of itself is a risk factor for depression. And depression really is the reason why people commit suicide. It's the number one cause, untreated depression, treated either with medication or treated with counseling, talk therapy. Forgetfulness and confusion, some of those things can be a symptom of depression. The first thing that happens when you retire is you lose your job. And when you lose your job, you lose your identity. I'm a doctor, I'm a counselor. I'm the guy who goes down the street and checks things off to make sure everything's right in your neighborhood. Whoever I am, it is my job and not me as a being that I talk about. Do I have purpose now? We never teach this to anybody. What's your next thing that you want to do? Where are you going to go? What are you going to say when somebody says to you, what do you do? That loss of your job first, and then that loss of your identity can funnel into other losses that start to occur as we age.
It was rough for her, I think, for the first couple of weeks, not knowing who I was, but enough that she was able to share her really deep depression with me. Looked on the internet, we both did. I was showing her how to work the internet because her other goal was to learn the computer. And again, she took to it like duck to water. She loved the computer, loved getting on the internet. So anyway, we started searching for dogs. And so she knew she could have criteria. If she wanted something over 6 years old, they were out there. So this, again, it was something that when I came the next time, she would say, well, I want you to take a look at this dog. And so therefore, it got her motivated to kind of get out of her depression. But I must say, out of all this stuff, she has become a friend. She's not somebody that I volunteer for.
They've been waiting for somebody to care enough to ask them. The highest group in the United States that commits suicide are 85-year-old white men, and they are 3 times higher than the general population. It's so important for us to keep seniors alive because they have all the knowledge. This is an opportunity for all of us to look to our elders to help us with the things that we don't have a whole lot of knowledge about. They've been through 2 world wars. They've been through Vietnam. They've been through a lot of things that none of us have been through. If you were to look at the newspaper after a senior commits suicide, there's nothing in it about that. And yet if an 11 or 14-year-old commits suicide, it's on the front page of the paper. Many people don't know that 10,000 people are turning 65 every day. You know, they hear baby boomers and they don't know that. What my volunteers do is they go on in and they form connections with these individuals. Connection being the thing that they need the most. Just from talking to somebody 1 hour to 90 minutes a week, that's how often we ask our volunteers to go out. Their depression scores go down. Their life brightens up. The confusion goes away. They're able to get back into the community, giving us all that information that they have for 70, 80, 90 years.
She's still pretty much homebound, but her communication skills are just wonderful. You know, she It's good to hear her laugh, and she does this almost every time I visit now. Well, I think it energizes both people. It also gives me purpose as well. It certainly makes me aware of my aging process and things what I hope to never do and things I'll have to learn to cope with if I should live that long. But I think anytime you volunteer, it just gives you this really good feeling. It's almost like a joy. They're going to find a friend for life when they work with these people. I think it would be so rewarding if anybody wanted to become a volunteer, especially peer-to-peer.
The volunteers get decreased depression. The volunteers get decreased mortality rates and increased longevity. The volunteers get that feeling of, wow, I just helped that person. And because I helped them, this and this and this is not going to happen to them. When you have 76 million people who are going to be over 65, and you have the generation just after that at 40 million, we all have to take care of ourselves. We have to be responsible and want to know what's going on with the person next door, or the person down the street, or the person we haven't seen at church for 3 weeks. Pick up the phone and say, hey, how are you? I haven't seen you around. What's going on? Maybe we could have coffee this morning. Maybe I could come down and we could go to lunch. That's a community effort to make sure that people are all included in the community and not just sitting out there as outliers. To replicate our program in other communities, I think it's about, number one, respecting what other communities are already doing, because I'm sure that they're doing something, especially in our state. I'm sure they're doing something. So by looking at what they're doing and then adding a few pieces to that, this isn't rocket science. This is about how do we communicate with one another as a community. When you get down the road here, we're all going to be in the same boat together. And in that boat, we have to take care of one another.